Episode 7, Family, begins in a snowy forest with Japanese narration about Scorpion. Yeah, the Japanese character actually speaks Japanese here. Brilliant. We get a nice scene of Hanzo and his son before they return to their village. It turns out the Shogun is coming to visit. Yes, the Shogun. It's not clear if this is set in the present or the past, but given Sub-Zero's presence later on, it's most likely the present, and if that's the case, this just looks silly with outdated concepts like Shogun and Samurai.
ある日、十兵衛は自分が白い一門に加われないことが分かるでしょう。
I like this, seeing Hanzo and his family before he died, because they started playing bigger and bigger roles in his story over the years, but we've never actually met them before. Hell, prior to this, their only appearances were a single panel in a comic back in '94, and that made up Vision in 2011. I also like that Hanzo agrees with his wife and they don't have some stupid falling out as you might expect. A pair of messengers arrive to tell Hanzo that the Shogun has arrived early and is waiting for him. He goes to get ready and it turns out the messengers have glowing blue eyes. The costume is actually pretty cool, but the mask looks bloody stupid. Was it really too hard to have something like the first film or the current game one? As Hanzo heads for the castle, a group of ninjas with blue in their outfits approach the village. Hanzo finds the frozen corpse of the Shogun as a ninja takes his wife. Hanzo is attacked by Sub-Zero, who has a cool mask and armour, but his costume looks like a second-rate Raiden. And despite being Chinese, he speaks Japanese too. Of course, the episode ends right as the fight starts. Did you really expect anything different? Episode 8, Vengeance, picks up by unnecessarily repeating the last few seconds of the previous episode on top of the previously on segment. Padding! The fight goes on with way too much slow motion and way too many flips that just look silly. Both use their signature moves, including a get over here in Japanese, which is awesome. And Hanzo emerges victorious. Sensing that his son is in danger, Hanzo returns to the village, finding a number of corpses along the way. He returns to the site of his wife and son dead, frozen to death. Hanzo freezes over and Shang Tsung appears. Sub-Zero transforms into him. He gives Hanzo his choice to return to life, and he does so under the name
Scorpion. My name is Scorpion.
Okay, why the fuck is Quan Chi here? I told you before that he keeps getting shoved in where it doesn't belong. Now it's got so bad that Sub-Zero isn't even actually a part of Scorpion's backstory anymore. It's just Quan Chi's shapeshifting. A power, by the way, that he's never had before. As if it wasn't bad enough that the costumes were a bit shit and the action was mediocre. Now Quan Chi just shows up and ruins everything. And it doesn't help that he looks like the bastard love child of Kratos and the fucking gatekeeper from Little Nicky. Though I do have to admit that Sub-Zero's ice powers and Scorpion's spear were both handled really well. And special mention must go to Ian Anthony Dale for his top-notch performance as Hanzo. He is easily the best actor in the entire series, and his reaction when he senses his son is in danger or upon finding his wife and son dead were excellent. But this brings us to episode 9. Now, the series was airing weekly up until this point, when it took a 2-month hiatus. Presumably so they could finish the effects for the episode without delaying the rest of the series. But why do these effects require an additional 2 months to finish? Let's find out. Episode 9, Rebirth. You see what I... No? Okay. It opens with some generic text about how the Lin Kuei dislikes disobedience. You know, really generic stuff. Then we see Sector and Cyrax arguing about the Cyber Initiative. We then move inside to see the two dressed in generic ninja gear being watched by the Lin Kuei's Grandmaster, who looks like an evil Mr. Miyagi. With him is Kano, who lacks his cybernetics, placing this episode before the first. The two ninjas fight two random guys in suits with no real context. However, Staval's back in full force, showing that his strength lies in visceral, up close and personal fistfights, not ones with Power Rangers acrobatics. The two emerge victorious and the suits turn out to be generic cybers. 2 questions then. 1, how are they able to punch these guys in the face with the holograms if the cyber faces go out further than a real person's does? And 2, how does snapping their necks kill them? We see various steps of the automation process, from the brainwashing to the augmentation. It looks a little silly at times and could probably have been done better. Then we finally get to see them in their full armour, and I told you you'd laugh. One would think that the reason this episode was delayed so long is so they could make some damn good costumes for it. But no, throughout the entire episode, Sector and Cyrax are done entirely in CG, and not very good CG either. It looks like they literally just took Cyrax's model from MK 2011, slapped it in 3 different colours and called it a day. Seriously, when Reptile from the 1995 film has more convincing effects than you do, you're doing something wrong. But I do like the inclusion of Hydro, Sub-Zero's partner from the Malibu comics. The 3 are activated and it's Sector and Cyrax versus Hydro, who kicks their asses. Just look at this. It looks terrible. Is this where all the budget from episodes 4 and 5 went, forcing them to do so much of it animated? You know what this reminds me of? Dead Fantasy. But at least that had good choreography instead of a bunch of random pointless flips, and isn't superimposed over a live action background. Also, this.
Project Cyrax offline.
And he immediately gets back up again. How do you not know what offline means? The two work together and weaken Hydro, leading to Cyrax doing a fatality with some blades. Blades that he does not have in any of the games. Why not use bombs or his buzzsaw? And why is Hydro's blood red? We see in the automation scene that the blood is replaced by some black substance like in the games. But once this is done, the next step is augmenting the rest of the clan, setting up the story for Smoke and Kuai Liang. So, episode 9. It was a bit shit, weren't it? Viewers had to wait 2 months for this. A terrible looking CGI fight with no real consequences between 3 characters we know bugger all about. This whole thing should have focused on the augmentation, spread it out and shown the two in fights before and after to get a better idea of what this initiative does to you. MK 2011 actually did this better by having a whole chapter focused on Cyrax, showing how against the Cyber Initiative he was before he returned in Sub-Zero's chapter post-automation. Yeah, MK 2011 did the story better than this. And even Annihilation went to the effort of doing costumes for the Cybers. I mean, sure, they weren't very good costumes, but they did do the costumes instead of relying on some shitty CGI sock puppets. As a whole, Legacy had potential. We can certainly see that in the first 3 episodes, which were actually quite strong, silly moments aside. Then it went downhill with bizarre plot elements, watered down fight choreography and horrible character designs. The acting was fine, nothing much to say really. The actors did a good job with what they had. Still, it's hard to hate Tankarot, I mean he has such a likeable face after all, but this series really wasn't very good. An improvement over Rebirth to be sure, but hell, even Annihilation was an improvement over Rebirth. The high point was Johnny Cage and the low point was Sector and Cyrax. Easily. Maybe we'll get something better in Season 2. Oh yeah, there's going to be a Season 2. In fact, they actually brought out the trailer while I was writing this review. And they've also confirmed, get this, a movie. This series is getting a full-on feature film. But the question you have to ask is, what characters are they going to include in Season 2 when most of the good characters, and some of the shit ones, have already been done in Season 1? Well, they have confirmed a number of characters that are going to appear in Season 2, including Liu Kang and Kung Lao. The main character of the franchise was saved for Season 2, while Quan Chi appeared in Season 1. Hey Tankaron? Suck a dick. Also confirmed are Kenshi, Baraka, Ermac and Kuai Liang, with most of the other characters from Season 1 returning in some way. But here's the funny thing. Half the cast is gone. It's been confirmed that Johnny Cage, Melina, Jax, Sonya, Raiden, Sub-Zero and Shang Tsung at least have been recast. If you have to recast so many characters, just drop this continuity and make the fucking movie already. You know what happened last time half the cast left? Annihilation. And if Legacy Season 1 is this continuity's MK movie, I cannot fathom what its Annihilation is going to be. But whatever it is, you can be damn sure I'm going to review it. But here's a preview. It's gonna be bad.
Gritty, very more real world.
Shut up, Jerry.